But did they err in clearing away all that experience that they did at the end of last season? I mean, it's okay to have young players coming on, but you still need that experience within the makeup of a side, don't you?
Well, the missing experience, I agree with that. Waitman too is a shadow of his former self.
But they can't. I mean, they can't rely on a bloke like Waitman. They can't build a side around for the future on a guy.
That's
like
why
Waitman.
they might have made the clean sweep to start afresh.
Can you see a difference in the attitude of the way they play, Ron? Do they look a different team, or are they?
I'm looking, Ross.
One of those players, Ron, that was brought in, Stephen Jackson, to try and hold down centre half forward or a key position. Alan Jones, I should say, put him down to fullback.
Yes, he did well early.
Experience.
Did well early, like first 10 minutes.
Does he seem to you as a player who needs a bit of urgency in his game? Is he a player who needs a bit more work in terms of, like an Ishenko? Is he a player who could do with a heavier workload?
Well, he needs to play with more intensity. I think that's what you're getting at. But I think that's the case with a lot of Western Australian players, because they're just not used to that. And some can pick up, as a lot of the Eagles, for instance, have picked up the urgency of the increased competition, and some have difficulty with it. But gee, on Lockett's an interesting one. He's kicked 7 in the first half, and you would think, gee, what a terrific half. But to break that Fred Fanning record, he has to almost double 7 to break it. He has to get 12 to break it, so he's had to almost double that 7. Just shows you what an enormous record that is to break. Very difficult. It will be done one day, by the way, and maybe this year. But, boy, it's an amazing record. That's why it stood for so long, Bobby.
Yes, that's certainly right, Ron. And Fred Fanning was a great pull forward and kicked only 18-1 that day. He was very accurate, wasn't he? That particular
I think
day.
it was that day.
Yes, 18-1. I mean, they're not going to kick that.
Was anyone there?
Yes, I was there.
They were there.
I was there as a kid.
No, anyone here there?
No, Ron was there.
I was there.
Fred Fanning?
Oh, you mean playing? No.
Robert, weren't you there?
Let's leave it for just a moment. Gee, you're
when he doubled 7. Did you get that bit?
Actually, I've just worked it out 7 times. We've got to go, but 7 times 2 is 14. That's good.
Almost,
Yeah.
I said.
No, I know exactly what you said, and you made sense.
Yeah. He would have kicked 21.
Bruce, this will make sense. Happy birthday for tomorrow.
Oh, thank you very much, Ron. I won't
Doesn't look 40.
No, I don't. Yeah. I'm 40, take 1. Work that one out. Last week, Gerard Healy worked this out. Brisbane and Essendon. Hart, who's already been mentioned today. Kilpatrick, he's a good player too. And Noonan, 3-2-1. Footscray Melbourne. Ron Barassi, Atkins, Baxter and Coleman. Gee, they bowled it in, didn't they, Footscray? And West Coast Collingwood, Don Scott went Monkhorst. Rowe, who was a real surprise packet with his goals in the low-scoring game, and Turley. OK, marks of the week coming up in just a sec with Ross and Tim as we look at progressive votes. Atkins in front of Lowe and Jarman.
The Mark of the Week and the Mark of the Year are proudly brought to you by Mitsubishi Motors.
Well, this first mark coming up, Paul Williams, a one-hander, and we're seeing a lot of one-handers creeping into the game. I don't know whether the players are practising those at training.
There's a lot in there. Set and there's Mark Hunter. I think he's a terrific player. There's another one-hander. What great skills over kicker.
And Gavin Wanganeen, an exciting young player from Essendon, rising up above the play then for a great grab.
Todd Ridley, a fellow from Claremont in Perth. That's a great, skillful, clean grab.
And Darren Jarman, who's having a wonderful season, spectacular leap over the top.
Ryan Walsh from Carlton took a number of these marks yesterday. On the chest at that height, great skill and great mobility.
And Fitzroy's young player, Fleming, another great one-hander, warding the player off and pulling it in with that one hand.
Paul Roos, we missed a little bit of this, but it was a fantastic grab and a very timely one for the Fitzroy skipper.
Well, some great marks there this week, Ross.
Well, Bob's suggesting that maybe the ball's a bit flat and that's why players today are taking more one-handed marks, but they're simply more skillful, Tim, aren't they?
I think they've got bigger hands these days.
The other thing, okay, well, I think we agreed very easily that Jarman was the mark.
Jarman was spectacular leap over the top.
Yes. That height over his teammate Gary Ayres, whilst he just dropped it a smidge at the end, when you're coming down from that height, it's no wonder you let your hands go a little bit to save yourself.
And gentlemen, he joins Cavan and Wanganeen, Roos, Dean and Wilden as some of the winners round by round in the Mark of the Year. Don't forget that book, Just for Kicks, some terrific gags in this book, and you can obtain that from newsagents and all good bookstores. A number of the 7 commentators and some of the real stars of the game have told their funniest stories in football. After this, the goals of the week. Welcome back, Ron and Robbo, in just a second to take a look at the marks of the week.
The goal of the week and the goal of the year are brought to you by BP. BP, on the move.
Long kick inside the 50.
Well, the first goal is from Brad Rowe. Terrific evasion here, and very determined running, and a fine kick.
Well, I was quite pleased to see Don Scott give him 2 votes because he kicked 3. That was his second one, and he did play well, Brad Rowe.
And here's Brian Royal, whose place in the side depends upon getting goals, and he under smothering pressure, great concentration, beautiful goal.
And Lawrence Shackey, this is a pretty good effort. He's got plenty of space, but he sizes up the situation very well, and from 50 metres, kicks a very nice goal at Carrara.
He's got it.
Now this is from David Bain. It's a very good effort, particularly hard to do this sort of thing, running flat out. It's an easy kick really for distance and angle, but flat out, not easy.
Dean McRae does quite nicely here, nearly loses his balance, receives the hand pass back, and from about 40 metres gets the distance quite nicely, and Gerard Healy was pleased with that.
Yes, well, Matt played here. I think he thinks he's out of the action, realises it's there, recovers well, regulation snap after that.
I think this is an example of how Peter Simich's confidence will increase with a couple more games under his belt, gathering that ball on the half volley and kicking it 35 to 40 metres. Lovely goal.
A very good goal here by Peter Matera. Very unusual to see tackles by Collins and Ayres fail like it did there.
And I think this is an example of the determination of Fitzroy that won out yesterday against Carlton. Have a look at Michael Gale here. Very, very well done, and finished it off beautifully.
And here's Marcus Seekamp. A pretty good effort here. Very good kick on the run.
And if Tony Lockett has done his hamstring, maybe this stretch here could have had a lot to do with it. Well,
yeah, well, it was Pele at his best there, wasn't it?
Terrific stuff by Tony Lockett. But
yes, but we gave it a Gale.
Well, you were the good judge this morning. You got in first. I agreed. But
well, we gave it a go because such a lot of effort put into this goal. He's had contact. He's pushed people off. He's spun around. There he goes. Pushed the man off. Has the bounce. I mean, there's almost everything in that. And the kickers are pretty good as well. So what more could you want in goal, ball getting and goal getting?
And his All-Australian dad would be thrilled.
It looked outstanding, didn't it? Goals of the week, Gale joins Mensch, Kemp, Kickett, Dacos and Derek Kickett as some of the winners. Now, progressively, Dunstall's at 91, and you'd have to say the 150 if he stays fit is under threat for sure. Lockett's having a tremendous season despite his injury problems with 76. They're dominating, 91 and 76, and John Longmire's up to 44 in the progress. Bobby, we haven't got a lot of time, but what about the selections for the day? The biggest match is Footscray and Collingwood.
I like Footscray to win there. I like Geelong to win in Sydney, and I think that Adelaide will beat Essendon over at Football Park.
Ron, what about you?
Yes, I think the Scraggers will be a very tight one, that. And Geelong, you can toss the other one up, right up in the air for mine.
OK, well, you were right last week. You said there'd be an upset. You weren't too sure where it would come from. Collingwood beat West Coast.
Yeah, I just felt
just
it in
had
my
felt.
bones.
What about you, Robbo, today?
Oh, Collingwood in a close game. I think Geelong will win quite comfortably, and I feel Essendon can beat Adelaide over there.
Well, Tim, if Essendon do win, they're in with a bit of a chance because they'll be right up there with Hawthorn and just behind Fitzroy.
Well, I think Essendon win today. I think they're playing for their season today, and I think Footscray will be too good for Collingwood. I'm very impressed with Footscray this year, and I think that Geelong will be far too good for the Swans.
Ross?
Yeah, Geelong, Essendon and Footscray.
OK, Geelong, Essendon and Footscray from Ross Glendinning here. So it should be a tremendous match today at the MCG. Ron, I almost feel like you wanted to say something then.
No, I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be a fantastic game.
They've had a lot of big matches, Collingwood, in the last few weeks. It seems to be every week they're involved in a major game, isn't it? They keep coming back. Kelly will be a blow.
And 4 marks to those who put on the match last Sunday, the 40 players.
Yes.
It was just terrific for the game.
It was. I mean, the fact that Collingwood could come back, I mean, West Coast would have been disappointed that they'd let them back in.
I just doubt a little bit, Bruce, the Collingwood ability to kick enough goals to win the game. Look at the Footscray forward line. They are playing very, very well. If Collingwood does come back in, make all the difference.
Well, we'll know at about 5 o'clock tonight. Thanks, gentlemen. We'll take a break. Brooke joins us after this. Earlier today we told you Carl Lewis has missed out on the 100 metres at the Olympic Games in Barcelona by finishing out of the placings. Well, another Olympic hero as far as Australia is concerned, Robert De Castella, is running in a half marathon this morning, hoping to prove his worth for a place in Barcelona. Brooke, how's he got on?
Oh, very disappointing actually for De Castella. He's actually run 6th place. Now, Victorian Mal Norwood has won that event, but De Castella was using this event to prove his fitness for Barcelona. So he ran that race in a time of 68 minutes and 58 seconds. So he'd be...
Is it 68 or 65?
Sorry, 65 minutes and 58 seconds. So he put that time down to being extremely tired after all the race preparation. So I'd imagine he'd be extremely disappointed for that, and that'd have to put into question his ability to compete at Barcelona.
It's a tricky one because I know the Australian Athletic Union would like to leave it totally up to Rob. It's Rob's decision. Rob wants to go for a 4th Olympics. He only wants to go if he's in form, but there's got to be a doubt now. That's a poor performance by his standards. So I'd say there's some doubt whether he'll go to Barcelona.
I should just say there that Karen Gobby won the women's event there too.
The bikes?
Yes, Daryl Beattie has once again won pole position for the 6th round of the All-Australian 500cc Championship at Suzuka today. Now, his time was 0.148 seconds inside American John Kosinski's lap record set in the 1991 Japanese Grand Prix World Championship. Kevin McGee is 3rd there, so a big week for Daryl Beattie there, because it's been announced that he could possibly replace Wayne Gardner on the circuit next year for the Honda team. Okay, Brooke, and Gil Morgan leading the US Open. We must leave it there. Have a good day. Brooke Bayville, what's coming up in Perth today? Take note in football terms. It's Collingwood and Footscray live, midday to 3 o'clock. Replay Adelaide Essendon at 10:30. Now in Adelaide today, from Football Park Adelaide Essendon at 8:30. In Melbourne today, just country stations, check your guides here. Melbourne, Sydney Geelong at 2, Collingwood Footscray. Well, the Shell Australian Touring Car Championships final round, Perth, Adelaide and Melbourne. Don't forget the Olympics and Sportsworld next Sunday. And the Rugby League test a bit there. Bye-bye.
This has been another 7 Sport production, the network of the 1992 Barcelona Olympics.